Hey guys, it's Ches from the Grip Board, and today I wanted to make a video about my plan to certify in the Mash Monster Level 8 gripper and the tools that I've actually acquired to do that as effectively as possible. So I thought this would be a cool video to make. I made a video about how I train grippers, it's on my page, but I am actually at a point where I've been in my training in the past that I've had trouble getting past. It's a plateau, and we all face those in training. And the important thing is to figure out how to get past those plateaus. So I came up with a plan, and I actually acquired a lot of tools to help me overcome that. So for me, in the past, the big plateau is the 200-pound RGC rating. So if you're not familiar with how we rate grippers in grip sport, I talk about that in my other video, how I train grippers, but basically we put the gripper on its side and hang a 1-inch strap at the very end of the handle until the gripper closes, and it gives a poundage number. Now that number is going to be significantly less than the manufacturer rating because they usually take it from the middle of the handle, and it's only an estimate. But as you know, grippers vary. One captain's a crush number 3 could be significantly easier than another captain's a crush number 3 because they're not calibrated. They're not like calibrated weight plates that you would use at a competition. They're like regular weight plates that you get at the gym that vary all over the place. So in grip sport, we actually rate our grippers. And for me to close the Mash Monster Level 8 gripper, only 3 men have done it. I'm trying to be, the fourth, or so it's a big goal. It's actually the highest level Mash Monster gripper that's been closed to date. They have all the way up to level 10. Only level 9 has only been attempted by one person, and the second guy just signed up to attempt it. So it's getting up there. They only have up to level 10, and so far the highest level is level 8. I have closed level 7. I'm one of only a handful of guys to do that. I have that video of my certification closed on the channel. But to get to level 8, I'm gonna have to bust through a plateau that I've hit in my training. So I've been injured a couple times, I've bounced back, and I'm now at a point where I'm gonna make a run for the Mash Monster Level 8. So these are the grippers and the tools that are gonna get me there. So if you saw my recent video, I closed this gripper right here, which is a Super Elite. So Super Elite. And this gripper was rated 194.5 pounds by one of my friends a long time ago. So that gripper actually feels like the Mash Monster Level 6. And if you watch my video, I closed it very convincingly 4 times in a row in training. Now what I have to do is I have to figure out a way to get past that 200-pound mark. So if you watch my video on how to train grippers, I mentioned getting grippers in 3 to 5 pound jumps to keep your progress going and to know the rating of your grippers. Well, when you get to a really tough plateau, and this happens in regular lifting, let's say you're trying to bench press 405 and you're constantly getting stuck within 20 pounds of it, you gotta even, go farther. So I've accumulated all these grippers to help me do it. Now, most of the grippers on this table are Waring Tedding grippers. Now, if you're new to grip, unfortunately, you will not be able to buy Waring Tedding grippers. Waring Tedding is considered the godfather of heavy-duty grippers. He passed away a couple of years ago, and his sons did not want to take over the business, so you can no longer buy a new Waring Tedding gripper. You have to buy it used from somebody. But I actually bought all these grippers before that happened, knowing that he was getting close to retirement age. So right now I'm at 194. Now, the next gripper here is actually not a Waring Tedding gripper. This is a Canon PowerWorks standard gripper, and this is the tungsten one, the hardest it comes. And the reason why I'm including these in my training is because they are very similar. I think the closest you can get to Waring Tedding grippers right now. You can just see how similar they look right next to each other. So when you're training for a certification, you want to train as close to what you're trying to do. So I wanted to use Waring Tedding grippers or grippers that are close to it because other grippers have different feelings, like Captain's of Crush grippers or Gillingham high performance grippers. They feel different, they have different knurling, different whiffs. These standard ones not only look like it and have similar knurling, they're pretty much the same whiff too. So now I line these grippers up in order of difficulty, and you're probably saying, well, Ches, if that one's 194 and you just said this one was 194.5, why is this one in front of it? The reason being is that this gripper wasn't rated by Matt. This was rated by a friend of mine a long time ago. I've been in grip for a number of years now, and that gripper was rated before Matt Cannon ever opened a store and ever started rating grippers. I actually think Matt's ratings are probably the toughest ratings. He's the most strict, and he doesn't like his numbers come in conservative. So I actually think that this one, even though I haven't tried it yet, is probably going to be a little bit harder than this one. Matt actually takes out the remainder too. He doesn't put decimals. So even though this one's 194.5, if Matt got 194.5, or even if Matt got 194.9, he would knock off the decimal and just put 194. So I still think that one is going to be harder, and it actually I haven't closed it yet, so it's going to be stiffer. The next one I have here is another old gripper of mine that was not rated by Matt. This is my Grand Elite, and if you look at my channel, you can see videos of me closing this. This is rated right at 198 pounds, again by that friend before Matt ever came along. So again, another tetting gripper. Now this is where I get to a critical stage, because once I get to the 200 range, I've had trouble breaking through it. I've been stuck at it at other points in my training. So that's why I have all these other grippers. So this one here is another standard gripper, another tungsten, and this one's 197. And the reason why I'm putting it in front of the Grand Elite at 198 is because, again, I think Matt's ratings are stricter. I think they're tougher. I think they're a little bit more conservative. So I wouldn't be shocked if this feels harder. Plus, this has been closed a number of times. This one I have yet to try, and I'm gonna have to bust it out my training. Now, the next two grippers are actually unique, and I'm gonna skip over them real quick because let's explain why. So skipping over these two, we're gonna go to this one. This is a 203 from Canon, and this is a Super Elite. So the reason why the 200-pound range is so vital is that the Mash Monster grippers are not allowed to be rated. There's only one gripper at every level, and everybody has to close the same gripper. It's the fairest, it's the best cert in the world for that reason. You really get to compare yourself against other guys because there's no variability. Everybody at level 7 closes the exact same gripper. Everybody at level 8 closes the exact same gripper. But since they're not allowed to be rated, but the guys who have tried them have actually given estimates of how hard they are. So to give you an example, I told you the 194.5 that I have right here is like the 6, is like the Mash Monster level 6. This Grand Elite, which was rated by 198 by my friend back in the day, feels just like the Mash Monster level 7. So for level 8, it's been estimated the gripper is between 200 and 205 pounds. That's why this section right here is so important to help me bridge through that area. So this one's 203, it's a Super Elite, and guess what? We got another Super Elite, which is 205, showing you the variability in grippers, for the same exact make and level. These are all, this is a Super Elite, this is a Super Elite, and this is a Super Elite. 184, 203, 205. And then guess what? So is this. This is a Super Elite. This is 207. This one is actually a Grand Elite, and it was rated, I had this re-rated by Matt at 209. So now I'm always thinking long term, and there's only been one man who's attempted level 9. Another guy is actually signed up to try it, and that's David Shamey, and he's actually probably gonna close it. David is probably one of the strongest crush guys in the world right now. So I wouldn't be shocked if he closes level 9. So I'm trying to play catch up. Once I can get, level 9 has only been tried by one person, Steve Anderson, and he told everybody he feels like it's in the 205 to 210 range. So that's where these grippers are gonna come into handy. Now, I have all these little micro jumps here to help me bridge the gap, because once you get to a plateau in your training, 3 to 5 pound jumps actually start getting a lot more harder. It's kind of like, it's like diminishing returns. Once you get stronger and stronger, you have to fight harder and harder to gain that strength. So now I want to go back to these ones up here, these adjustables, because these are really cool. So knowing that I wanted to make a run at the MMA, actually about 2 years ago, I had Matt Cannon work on a project with one of my friends. So I have a friend in grip sport, Aaron Corcoran. He lives in Arizona. Aaron is incredible. Now, Aaron is not only a legend in grip sport, he's one of the strongest guys when he competed. He no longer competes. But he's also incredibly intelligent and incredibly good with his hands. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but there are grippers out there where are adjustable, and some Asian companies sell it, where you can move the handle up and down the spring to make them harder or easier, because the farther you are away from the spring, the easier, right? Because you get more leverage. The closer you are the closer the handle is to the spring, the harder it is. So what I did is I contacted Aaron, and the funny thing is Aaron actually came up with this concept before those companies ever did. Back in the day, Aaron took tedding grippers and he made them adjustable. And the reason why I use tedding grippers is because tedding grippers are very unique. They use this pin system. So this is a tedding gripper that hasn't been modified. So tedding pins his handles on. Basically, there's a hole through the spring and there's a piece of metal that goes through that hole and then goes into the handles and it holds it in place. Tedding didn't use glue, which most grippers do, even the standard grippers do. He used the pin system. Now, the reason why that's great is because it's actually easy to take off. So what Aaron did is he took the handles off and he put screws in it instead. And this is an example of one. So this is actually a pro spring. A pro spring is actually harder than a Captain's Crush number 4. It's harder than GHP 9. There's only like one person in history who's ever been said to close a pro, and that's the GOAT of grippers, Nathan Hole. He actually did it in a training session in front of somebody. There's no video of it, but he was said to close a pro at his peak. So the pro spring is massive. So what Aaron did for me is he made, so it's kind of funny, he also made new handles for me. This is a handle that Aaron made from scratch, and it looks just like a regular handle. But the reason why Aaron made handles for me for the pro is we had to knock something off of it, right? We had to lower it down to the range because with the regular handles, it was somewhere in the 230 to 250 range. So we had to lower it down. So look how long this handle is compared to a standard handle. And I put it next to the standard one. And you can see it's longer, about half an inch longer. So Aaron made these specialty handles for me. And then he put the screws in. So there's screws in this one. I don't know if you can see that, the threading in the screws. So that I can take a hex key and remove the handles and slide them up and down the spring. And then I sent these to Matt Cannon, and I told Matt I wanted certain numbers. So Matt played around with the set depth and found me certain rating numbers, and he scored that on the spring. So if I put the handle right below that mark, where the mark is still showing but sitting on top of the handle, this is 202. The next one up is 206, and guess what? The next one up is 210. They're 4-pound jumps. So with this adjustable pro, I can get those jumps. And this is the same thing over here. The reason why I started with this one is because I took the handle off to demonstrate. This is actually a Grand Elite spring, and again, these handles come off, and I can take it off with a hex key. Now this one only has 2 settings on it because that's all I need. It has a 197 and a 201, another 4-pound jump. So I can get those. And guess what? If you want to get ratings in between, you can eyeball in between the lines and put the handle there. And that will get you a rating in between. So that's pretty cool, right? So with this one, I can get 197. But if I want to, I can get 201. But if I want to go in between and get 199, I can do that too. With this one, I can get 202. I can get 204 in between the lines, 26, 28 in between the lines, and 210. So think about that though. So right now I have 194s, I have a 198, I have a 197, and this is the critical point where I have 199, I have 201, I have 202, 203, I go back here, I can do 204, go here, I have 205, I can go here and get a 206, I can go here and get 27, I can go here and get 28, then 29, then 210. Now how cool is that? Those are perfect 1-pound jumps right in the range where I have to work and where I have to get through the plateau. So that's pretty cool. And this is gonna help me. I've actually never used the system because once I accumulated all these grippers during the pandemic, I got injured. So then my strength dropped off and I couldn't even, there was no point even trying these grippers because they were way outside my range. But now I'm up in this range. I'm getting close to using these cool ones that I bought. So that's what I'm going to be using in the coming months. I'm going to be uploading some videos showing that. Matt also made some other cool things for me. This is an Asian gripper, the Silverus, I'm probably saying that wrong, but they were the ones who came up with removable handles and go up and down the spring. So basically I had Matt modify one for me. This is the hardest one they make, the Megalodon, and I had him modify it for me. I had him file the inside of one handle, and this is a training technique that some people use. It's called beyond the range training because now with that filed portion, I'm able to close the gripper farther. Think of it like a deficit deadlift. I'm increasing the range of motion on the gripper. And then Matt also found me ratings and he scored them. And it's actually pretty crazy how far up this gripper goes. The top setting is 220 and the lowest setting I believe is either 160 or 165, and I can eyeball in between for other settings. So this is another tool that I can use to do like that beyond the range crush training. And then this is something really cool. Matt came up with this. It's sold in his store, and I will give you a link. It's called the bumper. So the way this works is that when you close a gripper, the spring deforms, right? And the coil, compresses and the spring deforms. You put the bumper in the spring like this, and then you twist this thing, and what it does is there's a screw in here, and it tightens these two sides of metal closer and closer together, and this is rubber in between. And what that does is it bulges out the rubber in the middle. And by bulging out the rubber, it's making the rubber thicker, so the spring cannot deform. And what this allows you to do is to do micro adjustments to any gripper. You can get partial pounds, a full pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds. I think you can do like up to 3 or 4 pounds, but you can do it like if you don't do it full turn, you can do like, if you do a quarter turn, you can do like 0.25 pounds, 0.5 pounds and stuff like that. You can, just by adjusting this. So this is another tool that I'm going to be using to get through that plateau. I'll leave a link to the bumper page that Matt sells. It's a really cool thing. I've actually used it on other grippers and it does work. It's a really cool way to just get a little bit more on a gripper to make it a little bit adjustable to bust through that next level. I forgot how much of a turn equals how much of I want to say by memory, a full turn is 1.5 pounds. And then you can figure out the partials, but I'll link the page and he actually has that explanation there. I'm going by memory. And then another cool thing is I talk about in my how to train grippers video that I do negatives at the end of my workout. Now, I'm going to give the disclaimer again. Negatives are the most dangerous thing you can do with grippers. So please be super, super careful when you do them. The only people that I know who have been hurt in grippers have been hurt trying to go too heavy in negatives and torn tendons in their hand. I do them at the end of my normal gripper workout when I'm already fatigued, so I don't have to use as much resistance. And I do them with 5 to 10 second holds because the old way that Joe Kinney used to tell people to do was to load it up so much it automatically opens your hand. Well, obviously that's dangerous, right? You're loading up so much it automatically opens your hand. That's a lot of resistance and it could tear your tendons. So I do it at the end. So I do my negatives currently with the Robert Barabon adjustable gripper. So he has this long handle on one side. This comes off and on this hand. The handle attachment that makes it longer comes on and off. I can make it a normal length handle too. But I leave on the long handle because I only use this for negatives. You can use this gripper to get stronger, but if you want to be good at grippers, like I told you, you should be specific in your training. Close and train mainly on what your goal is, and that's the tedding grippers, because the Mash Monster grippers were made by Warring Tedding. They're Warring Tedding grippers that were modified to hit certain levels. So this is definitely, grippers are the main thing. I use this for negatives at the end. And the cool thing about this is it comes with 2 springs. So right now this is the heavy spring. I have the weak spring someplace in the back. And then on top of it, if you really want to micro load, you can add rubber bands on this. You can double up the rubber band, you can add multiple rubber bands. The same concept works with a spring. The higher it goes, the harder it gets. Lower it goes, the easier it gets. So you can put the rubber band low for less resistance. So you can really micro load your way. That's what I'm gonna start doing in my training. I'll be honest, I've been a little lazy with the negatives, so I haven't been micro loading, but I'm gonna start micro loading with the rubber bands to get stronger and to finish off my workouts. And so that's it. These are my tools and my plan. Now, you can use this same concept to try to get through a plateau that you're trying to get through. Search for those grippers that will give you those micro jumps. Use the bumper. Use the adjustable for negatives with the rubber band. These are specially made. I think some companies still do sell adjustables. I'm not sure if Silvalis, I always mess up that word, the company's brand name, are still making these, but I'm sure there are some other adjustables out in the market that slide up and down. I'm not sure if Aaron is still doing this. Aaron used to do this as a side project for extra money. He used to actually make grip implements for people. I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but at the time he was. That's why I hit him up for this. So, but it's all about those micro adjustments, guys. So I'm going to be trying to post more videos. I'm really going to try to attack the Mass Monster level 8 because I want to be the 4th man to certify, and it's a big goal of mine. And then another goal of mine is to certify the Captain's Crush 3.5. I actually already did sign up to certify, and then I got hurt. while I was waiting for the day where the judge was going to verify my clothes. See this scar on my hand? Let me see if it focuses a little bit. See that scar? Focus. That is from my pulley tear. And that was the injury that happened right before I was supposed to certify in the 3.5. So I'm a little pissed. I'm going to get my vengeance, and I'm going to ramp up to the 3.5 certification again, plus the MMA. So those are my goals. I just wanted to go over my plan, share some pretty cool tools with you. So all the best in your training, guys, and happy holidays. Bye.